Hello, everybody. This is Sue Frederick, and I'm thrilled to be talking about the number seven as it unfolds the meaning and the energy of July being a 7 month within the greater energy of the 9 universal year that we're in. So now we're going to move from the 6 universal month to the 7 universal month of July within the boundaries of this incredibly different, challenging, and unusual 9 universal year that we are in. The seven, as I have worked with numerology since the 80s, it's actually, I think, one of my favorite numbers because seven is really the number of soul seeking truth. It is the number of focusing on mysticism, of what lives in the heavenly realms. Like, for example, someone who is a seven life path soul mission person, they are meant to be focused on the higher, deeper meaning of life and sort of perched above the everyday life and absorbing it, studying it, understanding it, and really looking beyond the surface. So think of that in terms of the month of July, that we will all be in our own unique ways called to go within, question what is going on in the world and in our own lives, and not feel so completely connected as we were in the month of June, a six number, but now turned inward, quiet, meditating on the deeper meaning. I often say that seven is the energy of angelic focus, so that we are focused to what lives beyond the physical, the heavenly realms, for the deeper truth and meaning of life on earth. That's what's happening to all of us in July, which means that the core meaning of this 7 month is looking beyond the physical, being perhaps very critical of what's happening in the world and with each other and with those souls that are running the world and the country, and really seeking a deeper understanding of it. It is not a high frequency number that is filled with joy, honestly. It's a sharp-edged number, seven is, that you have to think of it as being critical and perhaps sharp-edged. It's shaped like a tool, you know. So a seven can be very critical of the world, very critical of the physical world, the material world, because it is calling us to focus on the divine, the invisible world, the angels, and deep wisdom rather than the practical reality of the earth. So we have to really embrace meditation, solitude, contemplation on the God source, and really turning within to master inside of ourselves, overcoming the criticism, the disliking that we may be feeling in the world. Seven vibrates with intuition, with analytical thinking, with philosophy, like why is this happening, studying, asking why. That is so seven energy. And people with a seven life path energy, they have always been perched above this reality and studying it and trying to understand it rather than being down in the frenzy of the earth. And that's how we all feel in this July. We will all feel, because of events that will be unfolding, that we are looking at life from a very analytical point of view, and that we are not feeling great joy about the world, but we are trying to understand, learn, and study. That's essential in the seven. And we look beyond the superficiality. We work with deeper spiritual meaning, meaning saying, what is the purpose of this? These hard times on earth? What is the purpose of this war? What is the purpose of these difficult things happening in our country at this time? And really asking the angels to tell us the answer to these things. Our greatest challenge this month really is to turn away from this outer world that is so conflicted right now and go into the deeper meaning of writing, meditating, studying, learning from the highest realms. The challenge of the energy seven is always about isolating ourselves and being very cynical of what's happening, be overthinking the world. That's why meditation is so important. We can be overly skeptical when we're vibing in a 7 month, and that's what we want to avoid and connect with the angels and the higher sense of the God source, meaning not letting the heart shut down in this 7 month because we will be in some ways unhappy with the world. So we're going to have to work to open our hearts anyway and forgive it, forgive this world for things that will happen in July. And healing comes when we realize the divine plan and we commit to sharing sacred wisdom with the world and with other people. Seven is an energy of being a divine visionary, a scribe, an angelic connection, all of that stuff that is so beautiful and sacred and so lifted up from the everyday struggle of the human realms. We become them when we're aligned with the seven. We become the bridge between heaven and earth, and we're able to translate the divine meaning and focus on that and walk as the bridge between this physical world and the higher world of the God source, of the angels. Here's an interesting thing. When you look at the biblical meaning of the number seven, it's believed to be the number of divine perfection and completion. So, example, in the Bible, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, the Sabbath, which means perfection achieved in the seventh. And the Bible contains more than 700 references to the number seven. And we all know there are seven chakras in the body, seven steps to spiritual awakening, 7 days of the week. And in Revelations in the Bible, there's so many sevens, the seven seals, the seven churches, all symbolizing the journey towards ascension. Also, when we look at it historically, Egypt was a seven energy. In ancient Egypt, seven was always considered sacred and represented eternal life. In Pythagoras' teachings of 580 BC for numerology, seven was taught as a virgin number, untainted by earthly energies. And in the Kabbalah, seven symbolizes the lower seven Sephiroth, or the tree of life, bridging the earth to the divine. Here's an interesting thing that Carl Jung was always on a seven soul path, and Deepak Chopra also. These seekers and mystics, they aligned with the seven. Um, and they allowed looking beyond the physical and understanding it. So if you are on a seven birth path, you're really going to be in touch with that in the month of July and probably feel like being more alone and more in your meditations and in your quiet time, writing, studying, meditating. And that is what July is calling us all to do, to awaken to our higher selves and not really focus on the external world that will not be really happy for us in this July. Another thing I got as I meditated on it today was that this energy of the seven means that we are all being called to turn away from our criticism of the world, which means there are going to be things going on that we're going to be very critical of, and turned within to get our angelic downloads, our angelic ministry, and to write and meditate and only speak from our higher spiritual wisdom, not from how we look at this world. So that is our reading of the number seven for the month of July within this 9 year. So, would anyone like to ask questions about seven or share comments or anything like that? Okay, then I will. Oh,
Yeah,
Louise. Yes.
yeah. Um, I don't think seven is my life path, but I'm born on the 7th of November, and seven just surrounds me. I have seven children. Everything's just seven, seven, seven. My oldest child, I think I'm a life path of two when I've added all my numbers
Hmm.
up. So, yeah, and my oldest son is the seventh.
Yes.
He's a seven life path. He told me that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, seven surrounds me, and I get a feeling of Jesus with the number seven. I
Yes.
don't know why.
Yes.
Yeah, I really, yeah, every time I see seven, it just signifies Jesus to me. I don't know why.
Well, that's good. I think it's because seven is the real calling to see spirit. Jesus is believed to be on the 33 path, the master soul, very important 33 energy. But seven is really a path of sacred learning. And the fact that you have all those sevens means that this is a really good, you are comfortable with that idea of turning inward when the world disappoints you, turning inward, quieting your mind, and really listening and achieving that higher perspective on earth life, not looking at it through your human eye, but looking at it through your soul. That's what we're all called to do in July. Annette, did you have a question there or a comment?
Yeah, I'm not a seven birth path. I'm a three birth path, but I was born in July and I'm in my seventh personal year. So, and I feel it very strongly.
Mhm.
I feel very strongly that wanting to retreat and wanting to write and wanting to be alone and quiet.
Yeah.
And I have not once but twice asked this month um, when two friends of mine, one of them, the mother, threw herself out of the window, and it was very dramatic. And she called me, and the other one also passed away. And they asked me if I can make connection to them. I mean, that has never happened. That they say, is there any way that I
Yeah.
can communicate with my departed?
Yeah.
That must be something that we did over the year with the angels too, that
That's
they
right.
think sort of that I could manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
the angels are, I think the angels really are always in alignment with the number seven because they are only concerned with our spiritual focus and always concerned with lifting us to view the heavenly realms, no matter what's going on in our life. I'll just share also that July. I have been very aware of spirit in the month of July, especially since 1980 when my husband died on July 13th. And that was the month where he spent the first 2 weeks of July really pretty much out of his body and going through the dying process and very much in touch with spirit. He was speaking in other languages, all kinds of things. And and for me, it was my month. July of 1980 was my, or 1979 was my month of having to just care for him and be in my spirit, in my soul, in my angel self, and try to get him through those last few weeks. And then ever since then, every July, I feel the presence of spirit more powerfully than ever. And especially on July 13th, it's not just my my husband Paul coming in to talk to me, but my father and so many of my departed all seem to really come through loud and clear in July for me. And the funny thing is that I have so many friends who have lost people they love in the month of July. And we often connect and we find this out about each other, and we have the same time with the month of July of really being able to focus inward and upward much more easily and happily than focusing on the outside world. So I think seven, I'm very comfortable with it. It's not my soul path number. My soul path is the 22-4, but I've got what's known in numerology as a seven personality number, which means I'm always very turned inward and introverted and quiet and much more internally focused because of my personality number being seven. And it's interesting because my husband is a seven path soul and he's got a 22-4 personality. I'm the reverse of that, the 22-4 soul on a mission and the seven personality. So if you meet him, my current husband, he's very much in the world, connecting with people and very powerful, charismatic personality. But living with him, I'm living with a very analytical, turned inward, quiet seven energy of his path. And for me, when I'm out in the world, I'm very much using my seven personality. I've always been called shy and introverted and quiet. So that's always there. And yet at my core, I'm on the 22 that wants to make a difference in the world and shift consciousness. It's so amazing that my soul agreement with my current husband is that we are flipped that way. And people think he is so outgoing and concerned with all these big worldly things. No, he's not. I am because I'm on the 22. It's just so funny how our soul agreement works that way. So always look at your path, and you can go to my free soul path calculator on my website, SueFrederick.com. Input your birth date, and then go to the next page. At the bottom of the page, it says next, and input your name. And you can always find, gee, what is your personality number? All of that. And it's so fascinating to look at all of it. I also think the seven is, I have so many ways of looking at the seven. The seven is also, to me, very close to being like the energy of the Virgo sun sign, which means the Virgo sun sign, which is also my sun sign, is always about seeing and analyzing the world and often seeing what's wrong with the world and what's wrong with myself in order to go beyond it and see the soul's perspective, not the human perspective. That is so similar to what the energy of the seven is to see what's wrong with this world, what's wrong with all of us, but then to go beyond it to the angels for guidance, to the higher beings for wisdom and teaching. So think of this July as being an opportunity for all of us to really, really go on our sacred retreats, our meditation, our writing, our studying, our journaling in conversation with the angels always, and wait for August to come along when we will once again be drawn out into the world because it's an 8 universal month. And remember, in this 9 universal year that we're in, everything can have a very difficult vibration to it of surrendering what we want to happen so that we can really focus on what needs to happen according to the divine order of this universe and of our higher selves. So if you would like, I'll take us on a little guided meditation on the month of June and what the angels are telling us about it. Or do you have other questions or comments about it? Okay, we will.
You
Oh,
meant
go
you
ahead,
meant the
Annette.
month,
Yeah.
you meant the month of July.
Oh, did I say June? I'm sorry.
No, 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 I just wanted to confirm that you meant.
Thank you so much. I've got these wavy lines in my
Yeah,
vision right
it's,
now. So
no wonder.
please forgive
Oh,
me if I'm saying the wrong thing. I hope I've been understandable through all of this
you have been very understandable.
today.
And I
Um,
might pick you up, but we maybe can talk about tomorrow about it. And in the angelic, I would really would like to have your input about the connection when somebody directly, a friend, a very trusted friend, who is says, really, could you help me? And I know your video, and I've seen your video, of course, with Boisson, and but it's quite a bit of a direct question for me, said, how do I speak with my mom now?
Ah, I see what you're
and
saying.
she had an extremely difficult relationship, a very, very, in her words, a
Yeah,
very, very mean mom.
yeah.
And she's out of her mind, because she never could reconciliate with her, so stuff.
Hmm.
So maybe I'm asking you about, maybe, anyway, we can.
Well, let's talk about it tomorrow in class, because that's a whole different kind of
Exactly.
conversation than about the energy of the seven.
Correct. Mhm.
And right now I am trying to get my music to work, which it usually does, and I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing the screen correctly, but I can't get it to work. So I guess there won't be any meditation music. Um, so then I think what we'll do is we're going to close our eyes and I'm going to guide everyone. I am having some computer problems, but it's probably me. It's probably not you all. It's probably me not being able to see things clearly here. All right, so let's take 3 deep breaths, and I'm going to cover up the camera so I can close my eyes and guide us through this. And that's one of the covers of my Angel Up books. And I love that picture of that angel right there. So let's just take 3 deep breaths. Inhale with me. And again, and again, and again. So in this moment, I want you to feel the higher frequency of the angelic beings coming to wrap their energy, their presence around each of us. Take a moment to let them lift you to a higher vibration than the earth realm level. It is so easy for them to be able to lift us up above this heavy, dense earth realm, carrying us up into the heavenly realms. And they're saying that the angels completely vibrate with the number 7 and the things we will be learning in July. So they are bringing us to the higher realms to sit and discuss and discover all that's coming in the next month. And so we follow their energy, follow their presence. And now they've taken us to the meeting place of the sacred benches where souls gather to talk and study and learn. And right now you are sitting in a bench and you have your angel team around you, giving you so much love, holding you in the sacred energy, the sacred embrace of the God source. Feel them lifting you up, feeling them quiet your mind, your worry, your anxiety, quieting your thoughts so that you don't overthink anymore. The angels are saying, July is your challenge to quiet the mind and trust your intuition. They're telling you to make your choices in July purely from your intuitive self, not from your logical human mind. They're saying that this is what humanity is being called to do in the month of July. So we are asking now the angelic beings to come to us every night and lift us into the heavenly realms to be healed from any disturbing incidents that may happen in the world in the month of July, and able to accept war, accept conflict, and not let it pull us down into the scratchy, critical energy of the seven, but rather to lift us up to the angelic view of it all. The angels know that the earth realm is in conflict right now, but they are here to soothe us, to lift us, to give us the wisdom for how to navigate it, how to not be disturbed by the physical world, how to not be upset by all the conflict and disagreements in the month of July, how to trust that our intuition is more powerful in July than ever, and that as soon as we can quiet our minds, we'll be able to follow that inner voice of our higher self, to make decisions, perhaps to stay away from big social gatherings, perhaps to spend our free time more in reading, learning, studying, meditating, praying, and not so much out in the world. And we are thanking the angels for showing us the right stance to take in the month of July. We are thanking the angels for quieting our logic minds so that we don't feel so disturbed by the world in July. So, right now, as you sit in this circle of benches with your angels wrapped around you, take a moment to listen to their guidance for you. You can ask them quietly a question about your personal life and your direction and your choices in July, and listen to what they have to say. Now receive their guidance and ask them right now what you should spend your time studying this month of July. Should you study intuition, numerology, angelic wisdom, the God source? What are the things you should study? Energy work, Reiki, shamanic teachings. These are the things that you're being called to look at, to study, to absorb, and to learn in July. Ask the angels to tell you tonight in your sleep what book you should read this month, what story you should write in your journal this month, what you should do when you're unhappy with the world. Ask the angels to be the brightest light in your life, especially in July, so that you don't feel upset with the world, distraught with the conflict, but rather aligned with the heavenly beings who understand that things are unfolding in this 9 year that have to happen in order for the evolution of humanity to unfold. And so we receive the angel's guidance. And now we let our team of angels fly us through the higher realms to take us to meet our departed loved ones and have a moment to talk to them about how we should navigate this July month and what wisdom they have to share with us and how they want us to communicate with them in the month of July. So go to your beloved departeds right now. The angels are with you. And ask them, what should be my way forward in this month of July? How will you best communicate with me? How will I best receive your energy and your answers? And listen to what they say. And now hug your departeds and tell them you do feel them every day. You're aware of them, but you really are asking for their guidance in July. And that you know that they will be with you and helping you to listen to them, to listen to the angels, and to trust your soul's view rather than your human mind. Ask the angels, who do you need to forgive in July? Who do you need to make peace with in July? Whether they're on the earth realm with you or estranged from you, or perhaps in spirit, ask the angels to show you where you need to forgive and heal. And thank them now. And so give your departeds a hug, and we turn back, and the angels fly us back through the time and space continuum, back to come down to these earthly realms, breathing back into the earth body. And finding our comfort within this lower density of the earth realm. And yet at the same time, seeing our circle of angelic beings around us, hearing the voices of our departed loved ones, and going now mainly to the higher beings for our guidance and answers for the rest of the month of July, so that we can navigate it with our soul's lens. And so it is. And so now, take 3 deep breaths with me again. Inhale. And again, and again. All right, everyone. I will send you this recording, and you can also email me if you have more questions about the number 7 and how to navigate it. And if you're in my angelic ministry class, we can also talk about this a bit tomorrow night as well. And then I will see you next month to talk about the 8 universal month in a 9 universal year. That'll have a completely different vibe to it than July. 8 universal month means big stuff is going to be happening in the world in August, and it won't be quiet. It'll be very powerful and perhaps shifting consciousness on Earth. So use July to really be aligned fully with your higher self, the God source, your angels, and your departeds. Think of it as your heavenly retreat month, and then we'll see how August unfolds. Thank you all so much. Thank you.